My name is Richard Cressman, and I am a second-generation Pioneer seed dealer. My father started with Pioneer 42 years ago. My nephew is now joining the seed dealership as a third generation, and we started using Pioneer Saddleback 38 years ago to help in the fermentation of corn silage and haylage originally. And the reason we went to those products to start helping fermentation was to help speed up the front end of fermentation. In other words, to get the heat out of the product so it would stabilize, because every time we have heat created in fermentation, you have dry matter being used up on the other side. Pioneer then went on to develop different products to help in corn silage fermentation, haylage fermentation, and also high moisture shelled corn or high moisture cob meal. And those products were unique to high energy products that help take more energy to break down versus high protein products. Pioneer then went on to develop a product called Buckneri bacteria. Buckneri bacteria works on the back end of the fermentation process. So when the feed is fed out of the silo or fed out of the bunk to the cows, it doesn't start to reheat. And in the summertime, that's really important when you have people feeding once a day through a total mixed ration. It gets hot, the cows start to reject that feed, and then you have more feed loss and spoilage from basically being left over in the bunk. Pioneer then went on to develop another product which is called fiber technology, and this one's exciting because what it does do, it almost pre-digests some of the feed ahead of time. It helps break down that connective tissue between the cells, so when the animals go ahead and eat that feed and it's in the stomach and the digestive juices get to it, they can extract more nutrients from that product as it goes through the system, giving the animal more energy and more nutrients in what it needs, because the animals that we have today produce a lot more milk than they did back 38 years ago when we started with Saddleback, and they're kind of like high-performing athletes today. You have to give them the best, and every mouthful they eat has to be just loaded with the best product available. One of the things that I talk about when I'm talking to our customers who are farmers, kind of like myself, to help understand fermentation. When there's heat created, and that's what we have when we're doing corn silage, haylage, and high moisture shelled corn. And every time heat is created, something has to burn up to create that heat. And that is the good stuff in the feed that we're fermenting. So the less heat that we have, the more dry matter we can retain. And we're not just talking about the fluff of dry matter, we're talking about the proteins and all those little nutrients, kind of like the candy part of the feed that gives the animal the most energy. That's what gets lost when we have too much heat for too long in the fermentation process. So for farmers that are wanting more information, the best place to go is to literally talk to their sales rep, Pioneer, and find out more about Saddleback.
This video is brought to you by Farms.com.